Russian Federation stands up to Ukraine, and in what a way? Now, the Kiev regime is forced to respond. And not only that, the challenge was already set when Russia decided to finish the picture and therefore finish it off. To give the final touch to Ukraine's position in one of the regions, in one of the key areas of the conflict, where right now the main Ukrainian force is concentrated. In other words, Ukraine is risking everything, and every point in the battle is increasingly being lost. Images that have just been provided to us exclusively by the Russian Federation, and that once again send this warning, this threat to Ukraine, and even this challenge of responding right now to the presence of Russian troops in the town of Kupyansk. Just a few hours ago, we were seeing other images where Russian soldiers were claiming that they are in Kupyansk. Right now, images of even clearer geographic positions of these same soldiers from the Russian Federation who, look, are meeting in a rather calm manner. This one in particular is at the canning factory, from where Ukraine claimed to have driven out the Russian Federation, and he's there waiting calmly, even waving. That is, what we saw from the first message from the Russian Federation from Kupyansk was just the beginning. And here indeed comes the second part. Ukraine then didn't respond at all. Could it be because of caution or because of statements from the Ukrainian soldiers themselves who are currently on the battlefield? And I'm going to translate them especially for you, so we can see what position they're in and where things stand. Therefore, the battle for Kupyansk might seem like we're talking about just a single isolated battle, but right now Kupyansk is the place. It's the center of everything, thanks to the grace of the Kiev regime, which has decided to bet absolutely everything on this direction. This is where Ukraine is trying to carry out its counteroffensive, and where it risks losing tens of thousands of soldiers, because that's how things really are. The first images were shown by the Russian Federation. For now, there are no official images from Ukraine confirming the positions of its soldiers. But these other images are coming out. Images of men who, according to what they themselves say, are on the Kupyansk front.
Oh, blah, it's cool, they've revived me. Very difficult.
He says,
Very difficult.
He says very, very difficult. I'll skip the swear words. The colleague says very.
He says very, very difficult. He says they've been a vault to me.
I'm translating approximately. No translator picks this up for me because they're talking a kind of surge, which is a mix between Russian and Ukrainian. I don't understand why we have to risk our asses here, say these Ukrainian soldiers.
Very difficult.
Very, very hard.
I don't understand.
They're tearing us apart, they say, meaning they're destroying their positions with bombings. There are no words. We've gotten ourselves right into the thick of it.
Wait.
I hope things go well for Tsigan and me. Tsigan is something like gypsy in translation, although, well, the word is a bit modified, somewhat changed. But I think it actually means gypsy because in Russian, gypsy is Tsigan, but I think it's the same. Issues arise from what they're talking about, so Tsigan is the call sign in the other military language. Tsigan, will everything be okay? He asks him. Will everything be okay? Tsigan replies. I trust him.
Everything will be okay. Good morning, everyone.
Have a great day, everyone. This is what these Ukrainian soldiers are saying, who, I repeat, are currently, according to their own statements, in an absolutely critical situation. On the Kupyansk front, these are the only unofficial images. For now. Of course, they are coming from the Ukrainian side. Meanwhile, on the Russian Federation side, as we just saw, more and more images are coming in from areas being controlled inside Kupyansk. So this Russian narrative is that now it's a situation where there are only scattered groups of Ukrainian soldiers in the town. Well, it actually has quite a lot to do with reality, much more than the Ukrainian story that they've practically already driven the Russian soldiers out of the city. For now, in fact, what the images seem to show is basically the exact opposite. And to this, we have to add, of course, that Ukraine's humiliation on the battlefield has only just begun. And we also have to add these maps from other places on the Ukrainian front, especially. This one comes directly from the direction of Zaporizhzhia, where the Russian Federation is making a lot of advances right now. Afterwards, after yesterday's official report from the Supreme Command about the liberation of the town of Zaporizhzhia, Ukraine is not giving up hope of holding on to the western outskirts and preventing Russia from advancing. It relies on the infrastructure of the large village of Zaporizhzhia, located 3 kilometers west of the town of Humiliates. Only here can Ukraine build up strength and try to launch raids against Humiliates to prevent the Ukrainian armed forces from gaining a foothold there. The units of the 5th Eastern Group Army continued the attack to the west and are now also trying to break into Zaporizhzhia. By midday today, having covered about half the distance between them, they have almost reached the outskirts of the settlement, according to reports from the area. The outpost on the western bank of the Gonchur River has been occupied by the eastern units in the village of Zilon. That is, the advance of the Russian Federation continues and is also taking place on the other front, let's say, one of the most important, if not the most important one. The Donetsk front, where many experts are already saying that the Russian Federation is preparing for the future liberation of Slavyansk and Kramatorsk, 2 towns that will be very difficult to attack head-on. So they will likely try to encircle them instead, precisely so they don't wear down their men against this wall that Ukraine is going to try to build there. Because it will already be the last one, the last attack, the last battle, and most likely the last stand, in what is, I would say, practically the walking corpse of the Russian regime, ends up controlling Slavyansk and Kramatorsk. We have the map of the supposed future path by the Russian Federation, and we also have this video that we are going to watch together, which shows this new attack system of the Russian Federation before you. One of the main participants in the liberation of Gulapol. What is this turning into? And it is precisely in the direction of Gulapol, where the first massive use of these guided missiles for the Tornado multiple rocket launcher system took place. The missiles are called Russian analogs of high-mobility artillery rocket system. They were developed last year in Tula, named in honor of Ganichev. Russia, as you know, often does this, and they have already begun regular deliveries to the Russian armed forces. From here, we have a range of about 120 kilometers missiles that can correct their course and that indeed carry out their mission. They are quite a bit more powerful than the high-mobility artillery rocket system because they carry about 250 kilos of explosive material, which, if I'm not mistaken, is about 2 times more than what a high-mobility artillery rocket system carries, or even 3 or 4 times more. Correct me if I'm wrong. And with this, the Russian Federation, as you can see, has already conducted tests. Look, what does this building look like after a tornado attack? That's exactly where some Ukrainian soldiers have been hiding. About 12 soldiers in particular. I think that's what Russia said. The building is left about half destroyed. And it practically bends it. The force of a missile, which actually also has the advantage of being a multiple launch missile, I mean, just imagine several of these missiles. Look, How do the chosen targets end up? Imagine the problem this is going to cause directly on the Ukrainian front. Now, in the United States, I imagine they'll want to make a deal faster than ever, trying in some way to overcome the superiority that Russia is increasingly gaining on the Ukrainian front from the Russian Federation. This commander, in particular, has already stated that the tornadoes are going to greatly help in achieving the objectives of the special military operation. And above all, they are going to greatly help when it comes to bringing these units into line. These Ukrainian armed forces, which now seem, it is still believed, can change something within the course of the special military operation. And what they are going to try is to discourage these men as much as possible so that they have no chance at all against the Russian Federation. This is how the real situation is at the front right now. And this is how this challenge from the Russian Federation stands, which has been launched at Ukraine for the second time in a row. Russia is very clear about it. Now they're playing and using the Western strategy. They're playing the Western game. They want to bet everything on the media card. Great, let's record as many videos as we can. They're going to get tired of seeing us in a town where from now on they'll have to lose dozens, if not hundreds of men, just to prove they're really in control right now.